Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here and I am back for a quick hardware review video. I talked about it in my latest channel update video, but I figured I've had a few people ask, and so I wanted to show my new gaming rig and just give a hardware review for this. So we are looking at the HP Omen 30L desktop PC, and I will put in the description below the exact kind of configuration that I got because there are multiple ways you can configure it. This is, I would say, a mid-tower case. We're looking at the side of it here, and it is a black tower. It does have some RGB lighting in it. It's got the on the side here, I'll just try to get in a little bit so you can see. Everything is pretty clean. They use a lot of standard parts in there. We're rocking the NVIDIA RTX 3080 in this version. We have 64 gigs of RAM, and the way I configured it, I have a 1 terabyte MVME drive, solid state, and then I have for a secondary drive, a 2 terabyte MVME solid state drive, because 1 terabyte wasn't enough with as big as games are getting, especially if you're doing recording and playing games. So you're recording videos, those take up a chunk of space. And I'm, for movies and music and all my other stuff, I've decided for now I'm just going to use external drives, SSDs or something, because mostly for music I do streaming these days, so it's not too big of a deal anymore. But I do still have my MP3 collection. But yeah, so Core i7, RTX 3080, 64 gigs of RAM, and 2 solid state drives. I really didn't want to go spinning at all, just because I noticed, especially, look at the big old PS5 sitting over here, this monolithic beast. After really getting to see the immense difference that having a solid, I know that it makes a difference. I'm just going from my boot drive on my old computer, or, even my older computer had a solid state boot drive. But at the time, large capacity drives were really expensive, SSDs. So instead, I chose some spinning hard drives for my data and my game drives. But we didn't go that route this time. So like I said, there is your kind of blue. I have it set for blue right now, but you can change. Like I said, it's got RGB coloring in it, so you can change your color. You can have it map to whatever your temperature is. You can have it kind of cycle between different colors, which I believe is the way it was by default, or actually it was a white, I think, by default. And then on the front, you have a big fan, one big fan on the bottom, and the giant glowy diamond, the Omen logo there. Now, that would be the one complaint that I do have with this machine, is it's running fine, it's running cool, but I really think instead of having this flashy diamond up there, there's a lot of cases that have at least 2, if not 3 fans, and I would almost just rather had the fans going all the way up the front of the machine, just to really keep that thing cool. Not just in line with the graphics card, but more for the CPU and other components. Now, the vents are not on the front. You have the fan there, but it actually, the intake, you have this whole side on the left side of the tower here, the case. You have this little panel here where the venting, so that's where it sucks the air in and then pushes it out the back. Now, I'm not going to show you the back panel because it's just a beast trying to get back there. Let me pop into my regular office chair real fast so we can get a little closer. And I can, whoops, I can show you here. So here we go. We get a little bit closer. You see the fan. You see the little Omen logo there. I mean, it's a really clean design. Yes, it's got the kind of gamer look to it, but it's not super loud and tacky looking. I think it's a sharp looking machine, really. As far as ports, this is the other thing. I wish it had a little bit more. On my old tower, I had 4 front USB ports, like right up in here. I had 4 front USB ports and a headphone jack and a microphone jack. So there was a lot of I/O in the front. And believe me, I use them all the time. On the front of this thing, they don't put the ports on the front. Instead, they have 2 USB ports on this it kind of slants. So there's like a little slanty part, and then they go in right here. So you have 2 USB ports there. I even have an unpowered USB hub for my thumb drive right now. And I have my headset, part of my Px22 plugged in. And then you do have the headphone microphone jack and a power button. So there's no reset button, and you only have 2 USB ports. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And like I said, I could use a USB unpowered or powered hub. But at the same time, having my other computer, I do miss having those extra front ports. Now on the back, you do have, I believe it's 4 USB-A ports and 2, actually it's either 4 or 6, I can't remember, USB-A ports. And then you have 2 USB-C ports. And again, that's not too bad. I am actually starting to get more devices that connect with USB-C versus USB-A. So that is kind of a cool thing. That's fine. But I find, like right now, with my Px22 headset here, this guy that I reviewed on the channel quite a while back, still love this headset, by the way. It's a different combination because it uses a headphone jack and a USB jack, because it uses the USB jack for this little EQ guy right here. And check out my video for that hardware review if you want to see that. But I have that plugged into the front. And then, like I said, I have to have the USB hub because I don't have it all the time, but sometimes for work, I want to use my webcam up there. Sometimes I need a thumb drive or a hard drive, and I don't want to reach back to the back of the tower all the time. So you have that issue. But for things that I always have plugged in, my keyboard, my mouse, I've got a little Qi wireless charger here, little round charging pad, so I can plop my phone on there when I'm sitting at my computer. That's really handy. I have that. And, you know, unfortunately, that takes up a lot of ports already. So I'm either going to need to get some USB adapters or get a USB powered hub, maybe set to the left of my tower there. Because let's say that I wanted to, and I have my Xbox One controller. Yes, I know I could do wireless because this does also have Bluetooth and all that stuff in it as well. And I do have, but even if I wanted to do just wireless, I do have the Xbox wireless adapter sitting there somewhere. But I just have the Xbox One Elite controller, the Elite Controller 2, right here, that I have plugged in because I don't want to deal with low batteries, and I'm right here anyway, so why not just plug it in? So you have all those things plugged in. I don't have my Oculus Rift hooked up, and I don't know that I will. If I do VR on this computer, I'm probably just going to hook up my Quest with a USB-C cable and see how that works, because you can now do, you know, USB hookup with one cord. I don't have to have those 2 sensor cameras, those infrared sensors. So I can get by with one USB-C port, and that'll work for that. And as I said in an update video, I'm kind of taking a break from virtual reality simply because I'm just sort of discouraged in the lack of any form of progress in consumer grade, consumer level accessibility. So, no, I might use my Quest as a standalone headset every once in a while, but I put my Oculus Rift back in its original box. I've got the extra cameras down below by my desk, just sitting there. But no, I'm probably not going to hook up my Rift to this rig again because of the ports and just because of, don't get me wrong, I love VR, I love virtual reality, and I love the Oculus Rift and the Quest for that matter. But I'm just tired of jumping through so many hoops just to be able to read a menu or navigate the store or do any simple task getting around. Like I've talked about in the VR accessibility playlist and even showing you some of the games, some of the weird workarounds that I've had to do to get into that stuff. So I know it's a little sidetrack, but it does definitely apply to the review of this computer in the way I'm using it. So that is really the hardware itself. Overall, it runs really quiet. You can't even really hear it if I get close. You hear it a little bit, kind of like a little tiny bit. But when you're just sitting there, you don't even notice. Because it only has that big fan, that one big fan in the front, and then a couple in the tower and in the back, whatever. That's why I wish it had a couple of more fans up the front of the case, because sometimes when you go into a game, like I've been playing a bit of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and it doesn't get super loud, but you can, it definitely, the fan does run a bit more. And sometimes when you go into a game or you load a section of a modern game, this thing cranks up, man. It sounds like a freaking jet engine, and it just, really, really goes. So, but it'll die down after, 10, 20, 30 seconds, and then it kind of goes down to a low idle again. But I do wish it had a little bit more of the cooling, and I should also mention it does have an 800 watt power supply in it, so there's definitely enough power for what I have in there. So we don't have a problem with that. But that is, like I said, the cooling and a couple more USB ports would be my main wish list. Otherwise, yeah, this thing was kind of expensive. And I probably, based on when I got it, if I waited a month, I might have been able to get a Black Friday deal, but with everyone else fighting over stuff, I figure, not even worth it. This configuration, because of the expensive graphics card and because of the amount of RAM and everything large SSD, it was a little over $3,000. But this thing, like I said, I don't upgrade computers periodically. I buy them, I use them, and about every 5-6 years, I upgrade. But this thing, like I said, other than maybe adding more storage inside of it later, maybe adding another larger SSD as prices go down and capacity goes up, I'm hoping this will last me a fair while. So before I wrap up the video, I do have I talked about this, but I'll show you here, just looking at my computer monitor. The Omen does come with some software. Yes, it's got some HP crap on it, but it has this Omen desktop software. And you can see there's different categories. There's like a lighting thing where I can change all the lighting settings. That's where I change the LEDs to be blue instead of white or cycling. This one I've monitored a little bit on the bottom option there. It kind of gives me my system stats there. It tells me my CPU, my GPU temperature, tells me any storage I've got connected. Just gives some general specs and health and information of your PC. So that's kind of handy. It does also come with this HP audio program. And I don't really play much with this except this equalizer. I have it off now because I find that the sound is a little bit blown out, especially if I use a screen reader. I just don't like the way it sounds. But if I check that box, or if I turn that button on to enable the EQ, you see I have about 6 different presets there. And when I turn it on, it kind of acts as a sound boost, but it also kind of does things with, like, I usually keep it on shooter, and when I play a third or first person shooter game, it kind of gives a pretty convincing surround sound effect. I mean, I've gone back and even played where, you know, even when I did Boom 3D, it really didn't do all that much for Doom, but I've gone back and I looked at like Brutal Doom or the Toby mod, and I can even get more surround effects in there. So I'm generally pleasantly surprised with how well this works. So I do like these 2 particular programs. There's, you know, because it's a pre-built, you do have your, you know, typical HP stuff. There's a few free offer programs and crap like that in there that I just uninstall because, you know, a pre-built, it's going to have a trial or at least a limited version of either McAfee or Norton or Symantec, whatever. And this one came with McAfee. Literally, after I changed my contrast and my mouse pointer, that was the first thing I did, is go into the add remove and chuck McAfee. It's just a drain on your computer. You don't need that garbage. A, it's not accessible. B, it's a resource hog, and no, Defender's fine. So, you know, I mean, other than that, there really wasn't a terrible amount of bloatware. I got rid of a couple programs here and there. But these 2 in particular, this audio mixer or audio thing, and then this HP desktop thing, it works pretty well. I've used both of these just to check on a few things. It does come with Windows 11. So if I go to the desktop here, you notice that I did put it back in the left, but this is your Windows 11 start menu. So I've got my Cobra Kai wallpaper up there. Heck yeah, I like that. Look at that wallpaper too. But no, Windows 11 is working fine so far. A couple little learning curve things on a couple of options, but overall, not bad. It's kind of almost like a Windows 10.5, I would say. But yeah, you know, with Black Friday and everyone shopping for the holidays for themselves or for family members, I figured, you know what, I could do an actual hardware review for this particular desktop, because I have actually had people on Twitter and the YouTube comments ask specifically about my new rig. So this is the HP Omen 30L desktop computer. Look in the description below, and I'll give you the extra kind of specs, or, you know, give you the specific model of that. And this only came with the tower. It did not come with a monitor or a keyboard or a mouse. You could add that if you wanted, but I had my mechanical keyboard down here. I've got my monitor. I didn't show you this in another video, but since we're looking at computer stuff, I know I've got my rat's nest of cables here, but I've got this Amazon Basics arm mount. And that, boy, I got that probably 2-3 years ago now. And my only regret with it is that I didn't buy it sooner, because, you know, I've got these old, even unopened college textbooks here that I haven't even opened, but I used to use that as a monitor stand. And, you know, that way I couldn't adjust my monitor. It just sat there, and it was further back than I really wanted it to be. But now I can move the monitor up, down, left, and right. I can swivel it a little bit. I typically have it way out front, so it's actually kind of above my keyboard. I can sit comfortably, not have to lean in. If you are low vision and you have a desktop set up at home, might I suggest considering a monitor arm of some kind, because they can be very, very helpful. So hope you guys found this video helpful. I might just post this as a bonus video for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I think this will be my Thanksgiving video, because that way it's right before Black Friday. If you do decide to weather the craziness in the stores, or if you go online shopping, you want to take advantage of some deals or something that you find, this is my honest thoughts of this computer. It's ran well, it's ran fast. I only had that one weird, I talked about it in the other video, I had one weird, not really it was a crash, but it just instantly rebooted. I was in the middle of typing an email in the web version of Outlook for work, and just mid-sentence, my system restarted, came right back up, and then we were fine. But that was just a little scary because I've heard the Core i9 version of this runs even a little bit hotter, and they were saying, yeah, you really should have more than that front fan. They should really, especially the i9, you really should look at having better cooling. But the i7 wasn't as bad. It runs maybe a couple degrees cooler than it maybe should, but overall it's not bad. And like I said, I've ran Forza, I've ran Guardians, I've ran Quake 2 RTX, Minecraft RTX, I've ran a good number of modern games, and it's held in there pretty well. So, you know, I've got it set up for games, for work, for videos. I've done Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, Google Meets. I've got my webcam if I choose to hook it up. I don't like to be on camera very much, so I don't, but if it's a meeting that requires it, I will. But there you go. Hope you guys found the video helpful. Hope you guys have a good holiday, Thanksgiving, and rest of your holiday season, depending on whatever you celebrate. And like the video, give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. So until next time, I will chat with everyone again later.